What up, what up, what up? This is Mike the Philosopher along with Sean B. And this video is about 10 ways to build wealth. All right. We talk a whole bunch of stuff about some things, news articles that's going on. We thought we'd touch on some wealth building techniques. And honestly, it's based on an article, and they actually describe the 10 best ways to build wealth fast. So we're going to run over those things and talk about them. Got Sean B here with me to assist. And let me start with the article. Okay, it says that wealth building is a process that generally takes time. Although the idea of becoming an overnight millionaire is appealing for many, the only real way to get rich overnight is via speculation, an inheritance, or a lottery win. Okay, gotta hit those magic numbers. Ironically, the best way to build wealth fast is to chart out a prudent path towards long-term gains. The quicker you can save and invest, the faster your money will compound, which is the true magic behind wealth building. And these are 10 ways you can do it. Saving. You can't begin any type of wealth generation plan without having money to invest. As far as you start drawing an income, make it your top priority to save as much money as you possibly can. So in other words, if you with a job and you got a 401k, maximize it to the fullest. If you got a savings, maximize it to the fullest. Any kind of savings towards your retirement, you need to start doing as soon as possible. So one strategy often recommended by advisors is to pay yourself first, okay? Meaning put money in savings immediately when you receive a paycheck. Even before you pay your bills, this type of forced savings will require you to trim your discretionary spending, but will also result in rapid wealth growth. So, Sean B., what do you think about the first one, which is what they would call saving? And what are your thoughts about that?
Well, saving is a good one because, if you don't know how to save and you're not disciplined, then, obviously you won't build wealth. So that's the first things first. Developing a good financial plan for your expenses, This is something that I speak about a lot with, my loved ones is your income and your expenses.
You got a lot of rustling in your phone, man, your speaker. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if you're sitting still or whatever, but yeah. So
can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better. See what happened?
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the things that they mentioned that really stuck out to me is pay yourself first. And they're saying immediately and force yourself to save as much as possible. What do you think about that?
I agree. A lot of what do you call them? Successful people who own corporations, who also have a YouTube channel or decide to motivational speak. A lot of them say that you're supposed to save at least 10% of your income. And it just makes sense. I mean, if you're gonna spend your time working, you might as well take a portion of everything that you're doing and apply it to your own life. Like, regardless of a bill being due, past due, what have you, there should be room in your budget for you to save 10% of all the income you earn.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I think that this is something a lot of people don't do now, probably because they don't have that extra 10%. But sometimes that would mean lowering your lifestyle. and a lot of
Well,
people don't want to lower their lifestyle for that.
a lot of people have a check to check mentality.
Yeah, they do.
If they don't live check to check, meaning like they have more months than they have check left. Like, you could be rich as a mug and still have, a check to check sort of mentality. So for me personally, I write out my bills for the year. Okay. When I sit down, if I get a new job or I acquire a new expense, it's added to my budget, and you're supposed to know what your monthly expenses is. You know what I mean? You should know what 10% of your income is. You know what I'm saying? It may sound crazy. Like, okay, so for me personally, I was going off of gross. 10% of everything that I gross in a month, I want to save that number, as opposed to 10% of what I'm actually taking home.
What your net?
Why is that for me personally? Was I think that was a little more aggressive saving, where I could save up a nice amount of money fast. But most people don't think about none of this stuff. They're like, hey, I have free money left after my bills in this part, and they just think of it like free money, but this is money that could be applied to something, because we all know that life happens.
Right. And like I said, man, people don't want to drop their lifestyle. Like if they figure they gotta save money, they'd rather just spend that in a bigger house or a new car or something like that. So those are good tips you gave us, Sean, about saving and showing the discipline. So that's dope. The second one is buy a S&P 500 index fund. The S&P 500 index fund doesn't guarantee profits, but it's proven itself time and time again to be a tremendous generator of long-term wealth. In fact, most investors are surprised to learn that the risky stock market has never lost money over any 20-year period, and yet the long-term average return of the S&P 500 is north of 10%. What do you think about the S&P 500? Is that something you looking to get into, or you're already in it, or you think that's a good tip?
I think that's a really great tip. I've recommended that to a lot of my coworkers at my last job. See, financial wealth is something that's just now starting to become a well-known thing, sort of say, financial literacy, and people, long story short, what I've recommended to people is that same thing, or creating a 529 plan with their bank. So that is just basically, getting I'm not going to go too far into depth with it, but again, long story short, I think that's a really great plan.
Yeah, especially in minorities, a lot of us got to get better at investing in, index funds and things like that, getting involved with the stock market. The best way to try to close the wealth gap, in this country is to start investing. And a lot of times our people don't do that. So we got to get better at that. And it's for people outside of our community. If they doing that, that's great. But I think that's a pretty good tip. And like they said, they never lost money over a 20-year period. The second one is buying dividends paying stocks. Dividends paying stocks may seem like a slow and boring way to build wealth, but they are one of the best ways to tap into the solid and growing source of income. The capital gains as well, the so-called dividend aristocracy. Aristocrats are large, well-known companies, aristocrats, are well-known countries in the S&P 500 index, like Coca-Cola and McDonald's, that have raised their dividends for at least 25 years in a row. So this is another one, man. Buying dividend-paying stocks, like ain't nothing better than a stock that pays you dividends. What do you think about that?
I really like that plan as well. So, if you were to buy a stock, let's just say at, I don't know, $25 a share, and it pays, I don't know, X% per share. I mean, if you think about it in a way where you're saving $25 a paycheck, instead of it just sitting there being $25, well, for one, the stock value could go up.
Right.
So if you're entering and buying more shares and more shares, for one, that investment is now growing. But for two, the dividends that's paid to it eventually will equate to something to like one share, right? And so,
so what you can do is you can roll over those dividends and keep buying more stocks.
Eventually start buying itself, and then you will have something that's paying you out, and you could apply that toward whatever bill, after a while.
Yeah, I would use that as more of a savings. Like, it pays me dividends. I would roll that over into buying more stocks until you accumulate a large sum of them, and they all start paying you dividends. And when you're ready to retire, you have a nice chunk of stocks that's paying you dividends as another source of passive income. The next one they say is to buy a rental property. One of the key ways to buy a rental, to build wealth fast and over the long term, is to earn passive income. And one of the best ways to generate passive income is to own one rental property. With a well-managed property, a rental property, you'll receive a steady stream of income every month, and with little addition effort required on your part. While you'll have to find tenants to move in and have to deal with, occasional maintenance issues, your income will essentially be on autopilot. So this is another one I like, is to buy a rental property. I think that you should probably, your first purchase should be a rental property, and then your second property should be your property. What do you think about that, Sean?
I agree. I actually had something that I wanted to say on that stock part real quick, though. There's a motivational speaker named Wall Street Trapper who recommends that whatever your current bills is, that you look for stocks within that, and then essentially you have those stocks paying those bills. So, for example, in Wisconsin, we have We Energies. His suggestion is, hey, buy up stocks in We Energies, right? And then eventually your dividends will be buying shares of itself. And eventually after that point, the dividends will be kicking you back enough to pay your electric bill. So I just wanted to throw there real quick. If you buy Nike shoes, buy Nike stock, so to say. Like, really,
yeah. It's always a good practice to invest in stuff that you're buying a lot of. If you're a Tesla driver, buying the stock of Tesla is probably a good idea. You should always try to buy stuff that you're familiar with, that you see making money, and so that's good advice that he gave the Trapper. So shout out to him.
By doing it that way, I mean, I know it's like you said, it seems slow, but like eventually, if you can keep your money in your pocket, your invested money is paying your bills, then that's powerful.
Exactly. Yeah. And
what
about the rental property?
So going in on a rental property, it could be touchy. Because I know some people who recommend, like, you don't want to really have to deal with tenants and stuff like that, because your property can get tore up. A number of different things can happen. It's a huge liability. However, it is a way to gain wealth, period. There's so many things that you could do with owning a property, period, that, let alone one that can generate income. So like a side-by-side, a duplex, townhome sort of ordeal, maybe a 4-unit apartment building, either one of those will generate income. And when you have that on your income sheet, when you go into the bank asking for a loan for something else, let's just say it's a business loan, you already have that income statement stated for you. Like, look, I have this already coming in.
Right.
You know,
I think that I think it's really all in the maintenance of it, or the management, I should say, of it. Always put good tenants in there. You know what I mean? First, if you're going to buy a rental property, make sure that it is low maintenance, so you ain't got to worry about it so much. And the people you put in there it has good credit, and can actually pay their rent on time, probably a family or something like that. And you won't have to worry about that. I consider it more like a semi-passive. I mean, it's not all the way passive, but it's a semi-passive income. But that equity grows, man, like crazy. And you can look up 1 year and you'll be up 40, 50K. I mean, so I think that rental property is a good one. The next one is to keep asking for raises. Okay.
Some people recommend working with the government when it comes to that, if that's the route you're trying to go. So like Section 8 housing, low income, or senior citizen housing, where that the money is going to be guaranteed. A lot of people suggest that route. But you said the next one was asking for a raise at your job?
Asking for raises. The cost of living goes up nearly every year, and so does your experience and value with your company. As such, you shouldn't be afraid to ask for regular raises, both to keep up with the cost of inflation and to be paid what you're truly worth. This doesn't mean you should constantly pester your boss about getting paid, but you should also make the case, when appropriate, that your value should be reflected in your salary. Those who fail to ask for raises tend not to get them. So don't overlook the source of building wealth. Yeah, so I mean, look, inflation does grow every year. I want to say, is it 6%? I think it's 6% practically every year, inflation. So it's like a hidden tax. So if you're not getting raises regularly, you slowly start to work, below what you're worth. And your boss noticed. That's why if you don't ask, he ain't gonna give it to you, because that money then can go in his pocket. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So because they'll charge you more. They'll charge like look, if you go to, I remember, and I might be aging myself, but I remember going to McDonald's and a full meal was $2.99. Okay, you can't do that no more. So McDonald's don't have no problem raising their prices, but employees got to fight for raises, and they even got to fight for minimum wage these days. I mean, you got some people, this is why they're having the big resignation right now, is because the greed in corporations is at an all-time high, and people are just tired of it. Well, what are your thoughts on that, Sean?
Yeah, I don't think that this suggestion should be on a list, to be honest. We know that corporations are greedy, and I'd say 8 times out of 10, the answer that you're going to get, or the raise that you're expecting, is not going to be equivalent. So it's like, you going to get either a no, your boss going to tell you no, because this is what we pay all the workers, and so this is what's fair company-wide. Or they going to be like, sure, yeah, we could try to see what we can get out the budget for you specifically, like what makes you specifically special, you know what I mean? And
but you can't worry about that, man. You can't worry about what you think the boss is going to say. I think it is a part of wealth building, because what happens is you can save more. That 10% we was talking about earlier, that can grow more, and that could speed up your savings. So the more money you make, the more money you can save, and the more money you can invest.
I think it's important to discuss that before you accept the position. I think knowing going into it that the company does give annual raises, for me at least, is really important, right? Because if I'm going to be at a job and there is no opportunity for growth, and I have to heckle and hound you to recognize my true potential, or to even really realize that inflation hits me too, right? Like, just because you hired me at this one rate, that don't mean it will suffice for years to come. If you want me to stick around with the company and grow with the company, then that should kind of automatically be a thing. Like, okay, yeah, we're gonna have to pay these people, as time goes on. And
Well,
most companies do have something in place where your experience after like 5 or 10 years, they give you something, or they do something about that. But I
not all
think
places, and I think it's good that this is on the list.
well, I think those places that don't give annual raises need to really wake up, because in today's time, people know that inflation exists. I mean, it's almost baffling to think like, yo, you thought I could stay. That's like right, a worker from who just so happened to be born in like the 60s or the 50s, and he comes asking for a job, and he's like, yeah, we'll hire you at $3.50 an hour. Like, yeah, that might have been good back in the 50s, but and I know inflation exists.
Right.
So
well, they don't hesitate to get their raise when they hike up prices, so you shouldn't hesitate to get yours. But let me keep it.
Yes, ask for sure, but I don't think that's a wealth building.
Oh, it's
tip.
wealth building. It's wealth building, because it can mean, if you strategically do it, you can substantially increase your income and therefore increasing your savings. The next one is start a business. Most of the world's billionaires either inherited their money, which isn't as much of a strategy, it's simple luck, or started their own business. And if you're looking to generate a large amount of wealth, starting and growing a successful business is one of the most likely paths. Of course, entrepreneurship is a risky proposition, as many new companies fail in just the first few years. But if you can create a solid business idea, raise the appropriate funds, and get the right people working for you, this high risk, high reward path can pave the way to a lifetime of wealth. I think this is pretty much self-explanatory, and it should be number one on the list. What are your thoughts, Sean?
That makes sense. Like you said, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. Start now. It is risky, and a lot of businesses do fail. I would say, if you're going to start a business, don't so much start a business on what you like. Start a business on what you're good at. Okay, if you're good at certain things, like if you're a good baker, okay, start a business on baking. But if you like to do music and you ain't that good at it, don't start a record label. You should go into baking and have the record label be your second source of income. Just a example, because a lot of times people get caught up in what they like instead of what they're good at, and sometimes they don't it doesn't work out, because even though they like it, they're not the best at it. So yes, definitely start a business. The next one is broaden your education and skill set. If you're going to spend your life working for others, you'll have to make yourself as valuable as possible if you want to generate some most wealth. Educating yourself in a wide variety of fields and development in diverse skill sets are some of the best ways to demonstrate your value as an employee. Focus on specialized skills, such as skill sets that are in high demand, such as those in the high paying tech and financial industries, to give yourself the best opportunity to grow your wealth rapidly, because you know, financial industries like stockbrokers and financial planners and all them, and insurance, they make a lot of money, and they have a high you know, it really, there is no ceiling to the money that you can make. And you know, I especially in some tech jobs too, you can really make some good money. You know, so if you master, like, okay, let's use blockchain for instance, right? Or let's, like, there's a guy named CZ. Okay, he's a Chinese guy. Okay, he got a degree in computer science. He started his own crypto exchange called Binance. Okay, and now this guy is worth more than Warren Buffett. Okay, you know, that's why I suggested, Sean, that you do computer science, man, because these high-tech paying jobs is just where it's at. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, so you got to keep up with the time. I mean,
definitely.
If you think you can just have, you know, experience be the only thing speaking for you, it's sad to say that you're gonna need a little bit more in today's time, because you know everybody has somewhat experience. I mean, that's valuable, don't get me wrong, but nowadays it seems like jobs be looking for a degree. So if you wish to keep up with the and making yourself in demand, if you wish to keep up with, you know, inflation, then yeah, getting better education makes sense.
Yeah, man, because here's the thing. Everybody ain't built to be an entrepreneur. Everybody ain't built to start their own business. Some people are just, you know, they have an employee type of mind, and they're happy, they're fine with that. I just be an employee. I don't want the hassle of starting a business, managing it. It's too much headache. Just tell me where to work. You know, I'll build up my skill set and hand me the check, you know? So yeah, definitely broaden your skills. If you don't plan on starting a business and you're comfortable with being an employee, yeah, just make yourself as the most valuable that you can, so that you can at least get top dollar for, you know, working for somebody else. The next one is to set up multiple streams of income. It's hard to generate sizable wealth on a single salary, even if you have a large portion of it. To build wealth fast, set up multiple streams of income. For example, in addition to your day job, pick up a side hustle that matches your talent and abilities. If you're a freelancer, try to find additional clients in a variety of different industries. Not only will this bring you additional income, it will also help you protect you from during economic downturns if you happen to lose one of your sources of income. So yeah, get a side hustle. You know, they say building wealth, you have to have at least seven streams of income. I don't know if you need that many, but some of the most wealthiest have at least 7 streams of income. Your thoughts, Sean?
I agree. You have to have multiple sources. I think 7 sources is a good amount. Just because now some people think that, oh, if I go get another job, that's multiple sources. No, so long as you sell time for money, you will work till you die. I've never seen somebody with 3 jobs have more money, more free money, and than somebody with 1 job. So it's important to, when they say side hustle, make it something that you can do, whether it be a service or a good that you sell, on your own time, you know, and make it be one of the sources, so to say. Some people also say that if you're not making money in your sleep, you still gonna work till you die. So you kind of need to figure out one of those sources to be like a 24-hour thing. Another important thing to that is make one of your side hustles something that you don't have to be physically present for.
Right, like a passive income type of deal. That's why the first things that we mentioned on this list, like dividend stocks and rental properties, are good passive incomes to help you make money in your sleep. So those are sources of income. So you got to pick up some of those to build real wealth, not just depend on your job, if that's what you're trying to do. I mean, this is what we're trying to do. That's why we're talking about this. We're trying to build wealth. So pick up different streams of income. The next thing they say is live within your means. You'll never generate any wealth at all if you spend more than you earn. To set yourself up to a lifetime of prosperity, it's important to create a strict budget and stick to it. Make sure that in addition to all of your unavoidable expenses, you've got a significant line item for saving and investing. Every month that you can come in under budget, you're adding to your pool of lifetime wealth. So every time you come under budget, your own budget that you set for yourself, you win it. But the minute you start going over your budget and what you can afford, you're kind of stealing from your savings. You're kind of stealing from your future, because what's happening is you're spending that money on probably something that's not as valuable. A lot of people don't have a whole lot of long-term thinking. So, setting budgets and spending money, they just rather live the life. Some people got that mentality: you only live once, I'm gonna enjoy all my money while I can. But you really cheating your future if you do that, because that means you're not saving as much and you're kind of living out of your means. What are your thoughts, Sean?
Well, a part of your budget, like I said, should have 10% of savings in that. Another suggestion that I have is, for all the money that you earn, you should be able to at least spend 10% on yourself leisurely, where you do not miss it. So, speaking, 20% of your paycheck, or 20% of your monthly earnings should already be put up before you even think about a deal. You should have money put towards your savings. You should have money to spend leisurely before you think about your bills. And then technically, if you really thinking about building wealth, like I'm saying, you should have money left outside of that. So if your budget includes saving and includes a specific amount for spending leisurely, and you still have money left over after that, then you can build wealth from there. You can invest, you could start something, one of those extra sources of income like you were speaking about earlier.
Right.
To help,
Yeah. Just if you start, you could easily go into to a lot of debt if you're not living under your means. Like they said, if you're coming under budget, a lot of people don't even budget though, man. A lot of people don't even have a budget. They just wing it. You know what I mean? They worry about the bills later, and they just wing it. And and next thing you know, they in debt. They in credit card. I mean, credit card debt in this country is ridiculous. So a lot of people are in heavy debt because they're not living, within their budget. And these companies are more than happy to throw the money at you because they can charge you ridiculous interest, and they can make money off of you. But you just gotta, live under your means, under your budget. And if you go under budget, you're making yourself money. It's not, It's not a lost cause for you to work or anything, because you're actually paying yourself. You're saving. The last thing they got here is don't be too conservative. Okay, although being too speculative is a surefire way to risk all the savings you've worked for, being too conservative can be equally damaging in terms of limiting your wealth. Taking some risk in your financial life, you're investing a bit more aggressively to start your own business, is a necessary component if you want to generate outsized levels of wealth. If you put all of your money into treasure bills, for example, you'll actually generate a negative real return after taking taxes and inflation into account. Owning some stocks, real estate, your own business, or even some cryptocurrency are ways to gain exposure to higher potential returns on your investment. Just understand that while speculating has a role in generating wealth, it also brings additional risk to the table. Something like cryptocurrency can be risky. I mean, I don't know if y'all been watching, but Bitcoin, man, I don't even want to. Bitcoin has dropped a lot, and I'm just watching it just to see how that market is going. But some will consider it a buying time right now because they feel it's going to go back up. So, sometimes you got to be risky. Don't be too conservative. You put your money in all these other, small, like treasury bills or whatever, like they said. You're not gonna really be making much money because inflation and stuff is gonna get the better of you, and then next thing you know, you done lost money trying to invest in stuff like that. What are your thoughts, Sean?
Well, I mean, they can be a tool, to use. I'm not gonna say you're gonna end up losing money just out the gate, but I think with all investments, you gotta be strategic. You gotta know.
Can you get closer to the mic, man, so we can hear you a little bit better?
I said with all investments, you have to be strategic. So you just gotta know exactly what you're in it for and how long you plan to be in it for. Because if you don't have a plan, well, guess what you just did? They say you don't plan to fail, you just fail to plan. So
there you go.
I think with all of these, including asking for a raise, with all of these, you got to be strategic about it. You got to know. For me, I think it'd be a hassle to have to go to your boss and say, "Hey, I deserve a raise because of this," and then the next year follows, and you got to do it all over.
Should I been number 10 on your list?
Yeah, because it's not wealth building. That's how you just increase your income, but that don't build wealth.
If you increase your income, you increase your wealth, man.
Well, you can still be irresponsible with your money with making $50 an hour. You see what I'm saying? That's not building wealth. That's just increasing your income. So if that was on a list for 10 ways to increase your income, yeah, I agree. Ask for a raise. But when you talk about building wealth,
anytime you get more money, you're building wealth. How you spend it is a different story, but it is a part of wealth building. I agree with that. Another thing, one of my favorites probably was the dividend paying stocks and the real estate investment, and start your own business. I think those are, and don't be too conservative too. Some people are too conservative. They don't want to take a risk. They don't want to buy stocks. They don't want to start their own business. They don't want to get into cryptocurrency. They're just scared of everything. Some people just put their money under the mattress, and that's called being too conservative. So with that said, we're going to close this one out. Those are some great tips that we dropped on y'all. Sean gave insightful information, and we thank y'all for joining us. Hit the like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.
Peace.